Welcome to a quiet meeting with life, and with a truth that has been waiting for you. Fear rises from the mind's predictive machinery that evolved to keep the body safe. Death is a single biological event, while fear can become a psychological climate that lasts years. Long before the last breath, many lives are narrowed by the stories fear tells across sleepless nights. I greet you tenderly, because I know the weight you have carried, and I know it can be set down. I say to you, the fear of death causes more pain than death itself, because fear repeats what death does only once. I say to you, the great secret is this: suffer death only when it comes, and not 1 minute sooner. I am here to remind you that before that singular hour, there is only living, and you are permitted to live it. Listen to the nearest gentle sound. The nervous system anticipates threats through a pattern-detecting brain that guesses the future. Mental time travel, remarkable in its gifts, can create phantom alarms that feel as real as fire. The amygdala activates, chemistry floods the body, and the heart believes what the mind imagines. Fear of death often hijacks the present through loops that never deliver relief. I have learned that anticipatory fear is a movie played in a theater called Tomorrow, while your life is happening on the screen called Now. I tell you that you do not need to rehearse endings to be safe. I tell you that safety grows from presence more than from prediction, and that presence is available even in uncertainty. I say gently, today is not the day of your dying, and even if it were, the love you live would not be wasted. Listen to the farthest sound you can hear. The mind loves control because control promises certainty. Catastrophic images offer a feeling of preparedness, but they embed dread into the nervous system. The body cannot easily tell the difference between a real threat and a vividly imagined one. This is how fear can steal years from a life that could be spacious and kind. I say to you, your mind is a brilliant servant and a poor master, and it sometimes mistakes hypervigilance for wisdom. I remind you that genuine wisdom discerns the difference between information and obsession, between care and compulsion. I say that you may allow life to be imperfect without demanding an ironclad guarantee from it. I am with you in this permission, and I do not leave. Let your attention rest on one steady sound. Every life emerges and returns, as day rises and night arrives in faithful rhythm. Seasons circle, leaves are born and let go, and forests become their own soil over time. Stars burn, cool, and return their elements to the field from which new stars ignite. Biology writes an arc, but it is not a cruelty, it is a symmetry. I tell you that your existence participates in that vast symmetry, and fear cannot unmake that beauty. I say that recognizing your place in the circle restores dignity to your steps. I say this not to diminish your life, but to elevate it beyond the terror of an ending. Listen to the quiet spaces between sounds. Many wisdom traditions describe the self as larger than a single lifetime. Near-death narratives often report peace, clarity, and a surprising sense of homecoming. Research shows that death anxiety can decrease as people truly face mortality with support. Older adults, when allowed meaning and connection, often report an increased acceptance of impermanence. I hear life say, almost laughing softly, "You cannot be harmed in any real way by a doorway that belongs to you." I say that your deepest identity is not at risk, even when the body is. I say that fear argues loudly, but the soul speaks in a calm voice that carries far beyond fear's horizon. I say, you are more than the ending fear imagines, and less fragile than you were told. Receive the next sound that arrives. When fear becomes chronic, attention narrows, and the world seems smaller. The clock feels louder, and the feeling of missing out grows, even while nothing is being missed. Motivation can be hijacked by avoidance rather than by curiosity or purpose. Over time, satisfaction drops not because life is unkind, but because fear is unrelenting. I say that you deserve a wide life, not a cramped one, and that widening begins not by conquering death, but by releasing its shadow from the present. I say that death will keep its appointment, and it does not need your rehearsals. I say that you can keep your days open, and let their sunlight fall on what you love. Notice a subtle high or low tone. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement with fear in the room. Risk can be weighed with care without letting dread dictate the route. Openness allows novelty and learning, which build a stronger sense of self-efficacy. Love makes the nervous system more resilient by offering co-regulation and meaning. I say to you, you did not come here to barricade yourself forever. You came to taste the sweetness and salt of being human. I say that when love is chosen, fear loses its throne. I say that a day lived with your heart unarmored is a day that counts in the only ledger that matters. Listen as if each sound lightly passes through you. Attention is the currency of experience, and what you fund becomes your world. Mood often follows attention, not the other way around. Gratitude expands perceived time by saturating each moment with detail. Savoring increases well-being and reduces the mind's hunger for what might go wrong. I say, do not spend the treasure of today buying futures that will never be delivered by fear. I say, place your attention where life is real, even if it is ordinary, because the ordinary is holy when fully met. I say, the rumor that you must suffer life's ending thousands of times was never true. Let your ears open to the room's quiet textures. When fear recedes, relationships often deepen in warmth and honesty. Creativity rises because inner resources are freed from repetitive alarms. Authenticity emerges because the cost of performance is no longer paid to an imaginary judge. Regret lessens because choices align with what truly matters. I say that when you stop paying fear in advance, you begin investing in connection, expression, and truth. I say that your presence becomes a gift that others can rest in, and you get to rest there too. I say that love, not fear, is the signature you came to leave on the world. Return to the broad field of all sounds at once. Palliative care literature notes that a peaceful dying often follows a life of tending to unfinished business. Agitation near the end is commonly linked to unresolved conflicts and unexpressed love. Meaning-making reduces distress by integrating the story of a life. Acceptance correlates with calmer physiology and less perceived suffering. I say, live in such a way that when death comes, it finds you already complete enough for peace. I say, the suffering of death will happen once, and that is sufficient. There is no need to prepay with years of dread. I say, you will meet that hour as the self you have practiced becoming, and you can practice ease. Listen to the silence beneath the sounds. The mind will sometimes contract again because habits are persistent. Culture may amplify fear with sensational stories and metrics that pretend to define worth. Old beliefs can knock at the door at inconvenient times. Gentle reminders can reorient the compass without a struggle. I say, if fear visits, greet it as weather, and do not build a house in the storm. I say, your worth is not a countdown, and your days are not a deficit to be managed, but a gift to be used. I say, you can return again and again to the simplicity of living now, and each return counts. Stay with the alive orchestra of sounds for a few moments. This closing is a soft landing, not a hard stop. The essential message has been simple, yet it reorders life when lived. Fear multiplies pain, while life asks for presence, intimacy, and trust. Suffering the end only once is more than a slogan. It is a way of honoring the time you have. I say thank you for walking with me, and for letting this truth settle where it belongs. I say you are free to live as if life is trustworthy, because life has always been holding you, even through change. I say go with kindness toward yourself, and let today be unafraid, because it can be. Keep listening.